Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm really excited to look at a top mid lane player, and that is going to be Alone. And specifically, we're going to learn how to play mid lane Shadow Fiend here today. And specifically, what I really like about his gameplay, I've watched this game fall through already. What I really like about his gameplay is that he's very active. This is the most active Shadow Fiend I've ever seen. And it's really impressive to me because he really takes advantage of the fact that the Shadow raises, if you hit more than one, now slow and actually reduce turn rate. The damage also stacks on top of each other as well. So essentially, Shadow Fiend is a hero that has a lot more roaming potential in the past. However, I think a lot of people, especially Shadow Fiend players, are stuck up on this idea that my hero doesn't roam. It only farms, it only jungles, and I think it's a misuse of the hero. Yes, it does have some downsides with ganking, which we will see. But either way, let's get into it and focus primarily on the mid to late game. We're going to watch from minute 5 to the end of the game. It's about a 37-minute game, and yeah, let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the Game Leap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the Game Leap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. So our first gank of the game is at a very odd time. It's particularly odd, almost to the point where I'm not even exactly sure I love it, but we'll talk about all the reasons why I do and do not like it. But basically he shoves in the mid wave, right? Raises it down, clears it before the Zeus gets back. The only reason why this gank is weird is because it's at 534. The power runes are coming up. By the time he gets the kill, there's a chance he won't have time to get back for the power rune, right? In fact, it's very unlikely he'll be able to get back for the power rune unless he instantly kills him and instantly gets out. But maybe that's part of the reason he likes to play. Maybe he thinks Earth Spirit won't be sitting here, which he is. Maybe he thinks Earth Spirit won't be sitting here. That was a great play from Earth Spirit. This is crazy. Because Earth Spirit might be going for the rune. But at the end of the day, I do find it a little bit weird. Even though he walked through a mid ward, no joke, he does end up getting the kill. Obviously ends up going really poorly. Unfortunately, the Earth Spirit made the greatest play of all time. Like literally, that was the greatest play of all time from Earth Spirit. But it's a cool gank, right? It goes to show that you can wrap behind people. And the main thing you want to do if you are going to gank is clear the mid wave and then gank. And we'll see a better example of this momentarily. So another example of this is, of course, when you're, jungling, which is something you want to do, you can also consider ganking side lanes off the jungle. So he gets really lucky here, like straight up, gets lucky with what the enemy team decides to do. I think the enemy team makes somewhat of a mistake based on where Shadow Fiend is. So Shadow Fiend retreats to his topside jungle. Very normal play, right? You're going to use, this bounty rune to stay very topped off on resources and in a comfortable position. That's what he does. Bottles up, uses all the charges before picking up the rune. Pretty standard stuff. However, from there, what's so good about Alone here is that he's actually watching the map. Most players aren't here, and so he's watching the map. He does clear this camp, and from the moment he sees Tiny go top, he should assume a big fight might break out, right? Both sides might commit a ton of resources. Even here, I honestly think he could theoretically walk top in the expectation of them ganking. I don't think he was fully watching the map. I'll keep it real with you guys. I don't think these players are perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I likely wouldn't have instantly ran top either. But I'm just saying, right, that is an option. Ends up coming late here, unfortunately, as Luna does go down. The Zeus made a gank, but he shifts over and once again gets pretty active. Pings it out, tells his Ogre to stun. Ogre waits till it gets in range, and it's a beautiful kill, taking out the DP from slightly over half HP, which is pretty impressive. And after that, he does go back to the mid lane. It's very important to understand if you're trying to be a top mid lane player, you can't just sit in side lanes, and you certainly don't want to gank with 0 resources. Anytime he ganks here, he has plenty of mana to do so. For instance, in this clip, he gets a DD, and once again, he's going to look to rotate. Pretty crazy, I know. This is not what you'd expect. You would typically just expect him to clear a couple jungle camps, return to the mid wave, and go from there. But with the DD, 2 mangoes, 8 wands, he's popping off, he's ready to go. Unfortunately, they see the rotation coming, and it's a little bit dangerous to fight with SF in the early game for the reason that you can just simply get turned on. However, you do a pretty crazy amount of damage. Especially if you have a DD rune, it's no joke. You're hitting for 270 or something like that, right? And he just chunks down the DP. Good raises on the disengage. Unfortunately, we'll go down to the Zeus here. So a little bit of an overforced gank, which is typically why you won't see players play like this on Shadow Fiend. Because if your gank is red and counter ganked, you will almost always die due to the lack of fact that you don't have your ulti and you can't really disengage. So just be careful, right? That play in Lomar would work way better because they probably wouldn't see it coming and the Zeus wouldn't respond as fast. So realistically, it absolutely could be a really, really good play. From there, once again, he heads back to the mid lane, of course, clears it out. And this time he actually decides to go for another smoke, except to the bottom side. And they make their really good read on the gyro. He watches the gyro's movements, sees that gyro is going to the left after he farms the camp, and they camp the hill and he hits a triple raise. Really nicely done. Yeah, I don't know, it's just crazy to me that he's this active. It's just not what you'd expect, but you can see with the movement speed slow on the raise and the stacking damage, it absolutely works. It's primarily going to be predicated on ganking the lane that's closer to you, which more often than not is actually going to be the top side because you're going to be jungling your jungle. However, if you decide to smoke, right, if you have a position forward who can bring you to the safe laner, optimally you would bring a stun, right? You would want to gank with a tusk, a tiny, something along these lines, because, you know, shadow raises are a little bit unreliable, right? They're unreliable, they're hard to use, so it's generally better that you actually wait or smoke with a reliable stun. And I think part of the reason why he's so active this game and what makes him such a good player is he just kind of understands what his job is and what his team's job is, right? Who are his side lane cores? Think about it. This is a really important question for when it comes to getting better, right? Like if you're trying to get better, you need to hear me out on this. Who are his side lane cores? Luna, Enigma, right? What do these heroes want to do? Do they want to roam around? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? They want to sit in their lane and Luna wants to jungle creeps, right? That's what they want to do. So time and time again, we're going to see him rotate over, right? For instance, here, he was farming a triangle, rotates the bottom, kills the Earth Spirit, helps out with that a little bit. Here, this is really weird. I don't know. I don't know what Disruptor's doing, but he understands his job, right? As they're going to hit a really cool combo. That was, whew, that is beautiful. Tiny SF is honestly fantastic. I've seen a couple pro teams do that as well. It's quite reliable and very easy to use, even in team fights, right? Even in team fights, because they're stunned when they're tossed, right? It's a really great combo. Really, like, Tiny SF is so fantastic, because SF's pretty kiteable in the mid to late game, but not really with Tiny, right? Tiny just has so much control, so much repositioning, that's not too much of a problem. In terms of item build, it goes for the pretty standard build, right? I don't like that he comes out of base with 400 mana. I personally hate when pros do this. I don't get it. I think they should just wait the extra 2 seconds and get full mana. I personally really despise when they do this. But either way, we're going to see him get ganked mid. Good reaction here. And honestly, it's a little bit hard to fight in the early game. You have to be very careful and make sure your team has numbers. At least good numbers, right? They bring the right heroes. Because the big thing to keep in mind is your hero just dies really easily. You could be giga net worth. For instance, here, he's way ahead, right? I mean, to be fair, he's only 1,000 gold on the gyro or Zeus, but you're so weak to magic damage that until you have BKB, your hero's kind of a bot. Now let's quickly look at this skirmish here. Anytime you get a haste rune on SF, you really want to push your limits because it removes what I just talked about, which is like the real weakness of this hero being your inability to kite out. You do a ton of damage, you just can't run away. And that's a problem in the early game, right? When you're against Gyro and Zeus and DP, you're gonna die if you can't run away. He does a great job of manning up just until the DP has to turn. Even here, I would have liked to see him bottle a little bit earlier. That's the only pet peeve I can say. I think players, basically no one does this, but I think it's important. He could have bottled up to get an extra 60, 70 HP here, which could be the difference between him living or dying. But he's going to kite out, hits a good raise on the disengage, and once again, because he has a haste, he's able to get out. Without the haste, he's of course mega dead, and he's able to create a ton of space for his Luna as he dies. And from there, of course, if you're this close to BKB, slow down the pace of the game, right? You don't need to slow down the pace of the game when you're halfway to BKB. You can still look to get active. I mean, it's not like there are games where your team isn't going to do anything and you've lost your lane and you need to slow down, right? However, most games, like especially as you're seeing here, you can show up to the early fights with Dragonlance. If you bought a Dragonlance, you can show up because with the Dragonlance, you just chunk. I mean, that Earth Spirit there evaporated, right? He completely got destroyed. And now with the BKB timing, he's hitting for 140 with armor reduction. All he needs to do is play around the Tiny. And we're going to see an absolutely fantastic fight from Alone here on the back of the Tiny. And I mentioned it a second ago, but you have to play with your initiator. Optimally, you have a Tiny on your team. I talked about how good this combo is. But yeah, goes in, pops the ulti, toss back on the DP into the ulti, dropping her to basically 0 HP. 3 shots to Disruptor from his current HP range, and now can even zone out the Zeus. I mean, look at this Zeus's health. It's just insane, right? It's insane. The Zeus drops below half, almost to a third health, just based off some autos. Good black hole here on the back end. He does a great job of somehow knowing that gyro wouldn't kill him. So kites out to near perfection. Probably could have turned a little bit earlier on the gyro, respecting the fact that the Luna was going to man up. However, ends up being a great fight, and that even allows them to end up snatching the Aegis here right at the end. And from here, with level 15 and the Aegis, SF gets to work. If you don't know what his level 15 talent is, it's Presence Aura affects buildings, and at level 10 you have attack speed. So your hero is just a right-click menace, especially when it comes to sieging, and we'll see that in a moment when he can get to work. Unfortunately, he's against the Zeus this game, and anytime you're against Zeus, Sniper, Winter Wyvern, whatever it is, if they have a ton of high ground poke, don't force it. Don't force it. You can't kite out well. I said it earlier, I'll say it again, your hero can't kite out. You can't kite out. So do not get baited into hitting high ground. It's like, I'm level 15, I have an Aegis, let's go. Don't go. Don't go up to high ground, just wait it out, right? Slow down the pace of the game, look for pickoffs like this. You can continue to hit your next timings. He's closing in on his Daedalus, which is a disturbing amount of damage when he gets it. And they can once again continue to look for kills with the Tiny as he's gonna, chop down the Air Spirit. 5 hits, gone. Now, this is the stage of the game where SF becomes a different hero. I mean, on Daedalus, he has Bloodlust as well. Like, that is... Bloodlust SF, I mean, to be fair, the Bloodlust is going to make this look better than it is. But still, he would go this item build even without Bloodlust. So, as he goes onto the DP here, it only takes 6 autos and a little bit of help from his team to chop down the DP. But more impressively, he tanks the gyro missile here. Kind of suspect, right? Looks a little bit weird. It's like, oh, really? Are you really going to tank that when you're next to the gyro? He decides to. And from there, things look a little bit weird, but yeah, he might only have 500 HP, but with one ogre stun, the gyro dies, which is really interesting and cool. And from there, he actually picks up a Blink Dagger, and let's see how he uses Blink Dagger. And so what he does with the Blink Dagger is something you can do. Well, first off, you can dodge spells with it. That's like a given. You can also position to be able to follow up on stuns. However, what he does in this team fight is pretty cool as well, where if your team goes on someone, you can kind of chain stun, right? So they go in with the BKB Black Hole here, follows up with the Fear, completely zoning everybody out, and that allows them to take out the gyro very, very comfortably. And eventually this Aegis, they snatch Aegis as well. And look at this DP. Yeah, DP and SM is so bad, man. I don't know. This matchup's so rough because DP has a real armor issue, right? If you look at her items, yeah, she doesn't have a single armor item besides Aquila. She didn't even go phase boots, right? So real armor issue, and it really shows against heroes like SF. Yeah, she's pretty dead. She's pretty dead. You know when the laugh comes out as he two-shots Zeus. This hero, man, if you snowball this hero, to be fair, he's 22 kills, but it doesn't even seem like he has 22 kills, right? He's just played the fight so cleanly, perfectly executing on every single team fight. And what I'm showing you, it's easier said than done, right? He has really good positioning, doesn't use the BKB too early, typically doesn't overextend. Most of his gameplay is very, very refined and very, very impressive. And that's why he's able to go 23-3 here. And I think he's top 3 in NA right now. But alright, that's going to be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what hero you want me to talk about next. I'm always interested to hear what you guys have to say. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.